And tonight you're in for Jazz and Go.
Welcome back to DeezyVision. So, we finally got an opportunity to check out our very first mystery dinner theater show. And I've heard a lot about shows like this in the past, via social media, via YouTube. I would always see videos and photos from different shows of this kind of type in the United States, but never ever got a chance to experience any while traveling. Now, I don't know if this one in particular was the Bahamas' very first one, but I went into it with an expectancy of finally, fulfilling that need to actually see a show like this. Now, this one was called JAZZED, and it was held at the Prime One Steakhouse. Now, at the start of the show, the first thing I took note of was that there were some very famous faces that were starring in the show, in the actual production itself. You would see some popular faces from Facebook, TikTok, your various social media platforms. We're known as influencers, so I'll call them that. So some very, very famous faces were in the show. So when I noticed that, then my expectancy of the show went up. I was like, okay, this is gonna be some top-notch acting. We're gonna laugh a bit in here, and this is gonna be a show that we're gonna enjoy. And guess what? It met up to all of my expectancies. The acting was excellent. I kind of paid special attention to the acting in this show because I really wanted to, see, the level that things like that have gone to here in the Bahamas. And I must admit, the acting was top notch. They pulled off those accents so good that you couldn't tell me I wasn't in like a 1920s speakeasy somewhere else in the world while attending that show. So the acting was top notch. The acting was superb. One thing that I did take note of, and I have to give them props for, is that when it became necessary, the actors were able to improv on the spot top of the dome. And when I took note of that, I was like, all right, yeah, they ain't come to play. They did not come to play. They came to show us that acting is on another level now here in the Bahamas. So I get to give the crew props for that those actors were able to improv on the spot when it became necessary. Another aspect of the show that, I really appreciated was the fact that they engaged the audience a lot. There was a lot of audience engagement, even to the point where some of the audience members actually got to kind of act in the production itself. And if you've seen the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's another aspect of the show that I really enjoyed. Really got to shout out the producers, the writers, and the directors of this show for doing such a fantastic job. And, actually writing and producing and directing this show to the point where they really, really immersed the audience into what was going on. You really felt that you were where they were trying to place you in a 1920s, 1930s speakeasy. Sometime around then, you really felt like you were really a part of that. And immersing an audience into anything is not an easy task. So I got to shout out Raquel Roll and her crew for doing such an amazing job. Shout out to the Prime One Steakhouse for, taking that show on, because that venue was perfect for that kind of show, because it felt it felt like intimate. So you were not far away from the actors, you weren't far away from the action, you were right in it. And so, I got to shout out everybody that was responsible for putting this show on. I gave it a 9 out of 10. And that's a very high rating. A 9 out of 10 I gave Jazzed. The storyline, the plot, excellently done. Excellently done. So shout out to Raquel Roll. Shout out to the writers, producers, actors. Shout out to Prime One Steakhouse. And, we got a little sneak peek of the next production that they're going to be doing. I heard they're going to be taking us to the Wild West. So I'm excited to see what it is that they're going to bring to us from the Wild West, how they're going to pull this production off. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to be to one of those Wild West showings. So you can bank on that. You can bet on that. So I gave Jazz to Kill a 9 out of 10. And I suggest that if they ever do that show again, that you go ahead and you check that out. And also make sure that when the new Wild West production comes up, that you there too. All right. So I'll see you at the next production.